Hi, everyone, and welcome back
Hello,
to the Leadership Track. My name is Patrick Akil, and joining me is Arnika. How do I say your last name? Hryszko?
Hryszko.
Hryszko. That's a difficult last name. But we're
It
going to
is.
talk about test management. Um, is it really dead? Are we going to kick it off like that?
I don't know with the hard one.
Yeah. Why?
we
Why'd you want this topic in?
can. Why I wanted that topic? Because I heard many times already that there is no place for test managers anymore. We have this plain structure, the vertical one, so no place for test managers in the future. But I've seen something completely different, so I decided that I will argue a bit in that case.
And who says that when you say I potentially have
I cannot hear you, Patrick.
is it back the sound?
It's very, very far, very, very quiet.
What about now?
Oh, now it's much
It's
better.
better. It might be the cable. Sorry about that. I'll
No
fix it.
problem.
But who was saying that when you said I've heard that test management might be
For example, when we were discussing reorganization at my company, that they were saying that, okay, in the new structure, we will not have the test managers or even testers. It will be only developers and developers in test. So that was the approach. Also, I saw that there is not that much if it comes to job offers for a test managers. And when I was asking my people, I graduated from technic university, the computer science. Many of my colleagues started startups, and their own companies. And at the very beginning, I was helping them because they were mostly developers, but they were hiring testers, and I chose that career path. I was helping them recruit testers and test managers. But from few years back, last 5 years, they stopped. So I was asking, you don't need testers anymore, and they said no, there is no need for testers, and especially not test managers. So the people in the companies, they decided that there is no place for test managers. People introducing agile approach or DevOps approach, they were also saying, yeah, I have to move. I told Patrick before that the lights will turn off if I will not move because it's eco-friendly office. But coming back to the topic, yeah, so people introducing agile, doing the agile transformation and DevOps transformation, they're also saying that that's not place for a manager, maybe leaders, but no test managers are welcome in the agile or DevOps approach. So I heard it from many people wanted to be in the future introducing the new approaches, and they said in this new world, new IT world, there is no place for actually the test managers.
interesting? Do you agree with that? Are they
No.
necessary or does it depend?
Usually it depends. Like the most common answer from a tester, right? That depends. But I think that test managers are needed. We, as I am a test manager, we just need to adjust a bit our approach, our skills, to the changing environment. But test managers, in my opinion, in my approach, they are still needed because they have this, I wouldn't say unique, but another approach that can help with growing the company, growing the QA environment. You probably know that it's a funny picture over the internet how leader and boss are different, and you
Mm.
can see that boss is just uh, putting a whip on the employee, they have to carry him. But if it comes to the leader is doing the things first and rest is following the leader. So think that the word manager in test manager can be changed a bit to a leader, because it's a test leader, the person who is leading, guiding the rest of the team in the new ways, in the new paths of career development. So yeah, test managers, leaders, however you call them, they need to adjust a bit, but they are still needed, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, it's similar to what we have is a tech lead, right? It's not a tech
Yeah,
manager. That's more of an engineering manager, and an engineering manager isn't necessarily hands-on working on a product, but more so
exactly,
involved
exactly.
in coaching and training people.
Hmm.
So a testing lead could really be that person working on the forefront more so.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I see it. Like you said, more on coaching, but maybe not working that much on a
Mm.
product, but still you have to have your knowledge. Like everything is changing. That's a cliche, I know, that everything's changing, but that's accurate. And if everything's changing, we have to adjust, but we still have to know what's going on. As a test manager or test leader, I'll still need to know how to test, how to perform a test, what tests are needed, right? Because
Yeah.
if I'm going to plan a test phase or testing in general uh, our goings, I need to know how to do that, right? So it shouldn't be like manager in one old Polish film. One woman is saying that my husband is manager. Uh, just as a his job, he's always only manager, like not knowing any technical stuff, any concrete stuff. He's just manager, he's managing everything. So
Yeah.
that shouldn't be approach if it comes to test manager in the future. So uh, if we here to stay, the test managers, we need to be more like a leaders, guiding people and knowing even more, so we can help other testers with their career path and their development.
Interesting. Where does that role fit then in kind of an organizational sense? Let's say you have a DevOps side of the organization or even like a Scrum team. Where does the test lead role or test manager role fit into?
Yeah, like again, like lighthouse, right? So the people who is showing you the road. That this approach, like especially people who, as I said, like doing the transitions and the introducing the agile or this DevOps approach, they're saying the structure has to be like horizontal, no hierarchy, no higher structure. We are just doing our stuff, right? So just following the guidance, but someone has to lead that. And I would say this role, it's like in a scrum, you do not have tester, analytic, anything like that. You just have the development team and they're developing the product.
Yeah.
So test manager or leader can be part of this also. They are part of the team, test managers, but they have the skills, the tasks that are a bit different, so they can lead, they can show how to do stuff. I see this role also a bit as a scrum master. In the definition
Mm.
of scrum master, it is said that they have to uh, work with the obstacles, right? Like remove obstacles from the way. For many years, I didn't understand this approach. How to remove obstacles? What are the obstacles, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and I see also the test manager, test leader as someone like that to
Okay.
guide people, to help people work and do their stuff by removing the obstacles, but working on other things like being also a proxy, because even if we try with this DevOps, with Scrum approach and like horizontal structure, there are still managers, there are still people like stakeholders, there is like high management in almost every company, and such a leader can be a proxy to remove all things so the testers do not worry about them. They are just here to do their work. Of course, I'm not saying they cannot do anything else, but to remove things that are needed for them, that like they're I forget the word, interfering with their work, with the daily
Exactly.
work.
Yeah. I think that's then the main responsibility as well, right? And the expectation of the team as well, that that is their role and that there's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that
I would
is
say
their
so.
task. Good stuff. Let me see, because we got a question from the chat. There are many
Yeah.
cases when a manager is actually holding or stops the progress of a group, innovation, or even personal development of a team member due to micromanaging and managing everything, like really managing on what you're doing, how you're doing it, everything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, I know that
Uh,
approach.
but a great manager doesn't do that, right? What's kind of the balance in there within the group? Give people enough independency to do what they have to do, and how can a team communicate the need of that independency?
For sure, like there's like a lot in this question.
Yeah.
It's good I can see it. So I can so yeah, for sure, managers should be like stop it holding. I know that approach. I've seen it myself. People coming, especially the manager who is new to the team, they want to show off. They want to see that they are useful, right? That I'm doing here, I'm useful. I have things to introduce. So they wanted to show how good they are, actually not by listening to the team, but just showing, like introducing their own approaches, stopping micromanaging at that, working like I'm everywhere, I'm telling everyone what to do, to show that I'm useful. But for me, test manager or test lead should be more, let's say, useful for a team than the people who are above, right? Because the team is those are my coworkers, the team I'm guiding, leading, and they should be the most important. As a test manager, I try to like listen to people, do one-on-ones, of course, but also listen uh, on their like breaks and when they're working, what's their issue. If in agile approach we have this ceremony called retrospective, so it's the best place to talk about those, to communicate about this, what's wrong, what's not. I know that sometimes retrospective becomes like blame game. That
Mm.
this is, doing something wrong, she is wrong, and everything is bad, and I cannot work. But if you really use the retrospective in a right way, and I know that another speaker at the TestCon, Michał Buczko, he's also from Poland, and he was doing talks on retrospectives, how to do them right. And I think there's recording over the internet, so I really, if someone's interested, it's really worth to see, because if retrospectives or something similar to retrospective, so time to like sit, uh, come down a bit and talk about what we are doing, that's the one of the best tools to communicate and to improve our approach. So this is the way when you can share anything you want about our approaches, about if you want more independence, how do you want to work? Because what Agile and DevOps is promoting, and what I'm also up to, is that we are a team. It's not like I'm saying to everyone what they should do and they have just their task and they're fulfilling them, because it's not the way to work, right? The Agile and DevOps approach are the one that are promoting self-development, self-improvement all the time. So that's what I really like, and I like to adjust also to that by my work as a test manager. And also I'm coaching others to do that, to listen, to really listen. Not I'm listening to you, like taking notes, okay, I put it in my notepad or calendar or anything and just forget it. No, to improve, to take actions out of this communication. So I think like the direct conversation or the retrospectives or something similar are the best place to communicate
Yeah.
such, and to adjust this independence, because I know people are different, and there are people that need some guidance, that need task put on them, at least for the start, for example, because they're not feeling very um, confident when there is, okay, this is what we are doing, do it, right? Like no guidance, no pointing what's there for you. People sometimes get lost in that approach, especially if they're working for some times when, okay, tasks were just assigned to them and they didn't have to think how, what I'm best at, what I should do, right? So they need guidance, they need a bit of support in that. But in general, uh, after some time, if that person starts with that, it's much better, because you feel the confidence, you feel the that you are heard, right? Because and you have some kind of independence that lets you develop yourself, because maybe if I'm independent, I'm not told what to do, there is some task, maybe I can try something new and improve it, right? So I can develop myself. It's much better environment to work, and yeah. to be with. And I see there is much more many questions.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But to go into what you just mentioned,
Hmm.
I absolutely agree that some people love that independency and some people need a bit more guidance, right? It
Yeah,
depends on
that they need
your
sometimes. So
experience or your seniority.
again, you have to listen and adjust your work and to help them, right? The
Absolutely.
leader, the test manager is here to help and support.
Yeah. In a scenario where there's a lot of pressure, right, coming from an upper management layer trickling down to a test manager as well, sometimes that pressure they put on the team then as well to deliver or to uphold on KPIs. But how
True.
or what would you advise for a test manager, how to work around that or how to still keep that safe environment, that productive and effective environment?
As I already mentioned, like the staff manager in this kind of situation, especially, should be kind of proxy, right?
Mm.
So it's not work for everyone because I know that many people, if you put pressure on them, they have to like put it away on someone else, right? But I know because I was also a tester with different kind of managers, and I know that I work better if I know that people are trusting me in what I'm doing, not pushing. So again, the communication is very important here. This is why I love. I know I'm like going in many directions at once, but in the IT world at the start, because I'm in the IT over 15 years already. And at the very beginning, it was technical, right? Like technical
Mm.
skills, that's the most important. You have to know how to do your work. But recent years, we started to notice that the soft skills are much more needed, right? That we need to communicate because if we do just do our work, but not communicate, not work as a team, then it's not working, right? So for a test manager, we need to have these soft skills to tell people that okay, there is a pressure, but I trust you. I know that you know what you are doing. Here are the goals, and how can we improve? How can we speed up? Right? Let's talk. Let's see. Let's prioritize. That's the prioritizing. It's also the very important stuff and see how can we do that. If there is any issue, how, what can I do for you? Like the question, this is one manager who opened my eye when we had this. Actually it was retrospective or some similar meeting, and people were just complaining like, just I don't like that, there is too much of that. So and this manager, she asked, how can I help you? Like what exactly do you need to overcome this issue? And people like, I don't know.
That's a great
And
question.
yeah, and when we started to getting to the root cause, so what exactly do I need to proceed to achieve this goal? And then we made up a solution, like came to a conclusion and a solution. So the question, how can I help you? What do you exactly need to achieve those goals, those KPIs? This is a great question.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You mentioned earlier that the tech manager role is kind of moving or trending towards more of a test lead role. But if we're talking about test lead or test manager or even QA manager, there's different roles in different organizations. Do you see like
Yeah.
a difference between roles and responsibility, or does it really depend on the company?
It really depends on the company because sometimes the same with the tester. You have like I'm going through job postings, right? And there is this QA tester, which is funny because
Mm.
testing is part of a QA, right?
Yeah.
There is like a software developer in tests. There is test engineer. There is something like that, and actually the descriptions are mixed. And the same is with the test leader of or test manager. Like I even once saw like QA director, and it was exactly what I'm doing as a test manager.
Mm.
So it really depends what company needs, how they describe. Sometimes probably they don't know what they want. They just found something. Okay, we need someone who knows quality assurance and testing, and this will be their task, right? So they don't know, and like with everything, you have to adjust to the situation that is there. So sometimes the this is why I am also asking at the if I'm going to interviews. For now I'm working at the same company for over 7 years, but from time to time I'm going to the interviews just to check myself to see what's there on the market. And one question I always ask, so what do you expect this person, this role to do? What will be the goals, right? Not the
Mhm.
daily task, not the like generic description. What's the aim? What's the goal for having this person? What actually this person will bring? What is the additional value that this person should bring to the company? That and if the people ask that, they're thinking, oh, so yeah, no value. We just need a tester actually.
Yeah,
Right, so it depends from a company to another what they exactly what the competencies are needed.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, a title is one thing, right? But your roles and responsibility and also your accountability, that's what
Yeah.
really defines what you're going to be doing on a day to day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have a question from Anastasia. She sketches kind of a scenario in her own organization where there's a
Mm-hmm.
head of development working next to a test lead, but that head of development is really kind of bypassing the test lead and micromanaging the team in and of its own. From
Mm-hmm.
the position of being in that team, what should you do? Like, how do you make an environment that is not being micromanaged anymore? Should you go to the test lead or talk to the head of development directly? What is your advice?
Let me just, so the head of development and test lead is under the head of development.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we need to always in every situation we need to agree on the ways of working, right? If I'm a test lead, I'm here for testing. So you are not here to interfere with my team, my testers, right? With the testers. If it's mostly issue for the testers that this head of development is interfering and adjusting, then just say, if you want something from testers, go through me so I can be a proxy, right? To have the information also, because as a test lead, I need to know what my people. I don't want to say like my people, like they're not my property, like, but they're my team, right? My colleagues,
Yeah.
and I work them to work their best, to work to focus on their work, right? Not on anything you have. So if you want something from them, go through me. I will be the proxy. Also, I know what's there. If you have something, let's discuss it. Let's put priority to it, not to interfere. Like also that's what agile was promoting and actually scrum was promoting, that if you set a goal for a sprint, you cannot change it during the sprint, and you cannot like add anything to the scope is set at the beginning of the sprint.
Yeah.
So that's in the scrum guide. So the same with work. Okay, we agreed on something, do not interfere with that, right? That's not the work. Let's work on our ways of working. So it also depends what exactly this person wants, this head of development, right? So okay, what are the issues? Why are you going to them? What's exactly needed there? Let's discuss. So as with many issues that occur, the communication, the discussion is always the best approach. I know there are people that are hard at discussion. Again, like soft skills are much needed in working in IT. But let's talk. Like, if sometimes if you start asking questions in a very nice manner, like not fighting, like you cannot touch my testers, don't go to them, and being like very against. Just
Yeah.
okay. Listen, I want my people to work. I want to have this nice environment, and sometimes you interfere. That I understand. You have some things to do, right? So let's discuss, let's prioritize, let's work on our ways of working. So, and here something for the head of the development. So you don't have to spend time of like keeping the eye on them. Let's work so you can take your own stuff, your own task, right? Not to um, spend additional time with my testers. Maybe we can work around it, right? And sometimes if you start to be nice to person when they expect pushback, it's really like surprise them. The same with the question, how can I help you, right?
Yeah.
They're so expected. That's the thing I also learned. Sometimes if dog is barking at you and it's starting to be aggressive, when you start talking in this sweet voice, like who is good doggy, who is good doggy, then this dog is confused. because the dog is afraid of like expecting being afraid, expecting for you to run away, right? And the
Yeah.
same sometimes with this aggressive person that likes to interfere with everything. If you start to be nice to them and asking, how can I help you, maybe we can work each other, they starting with that confusion, like, you were nice to me, if at the same time I was not nice to you, why is that? So that communication that can like soften things and can let us work properly and in a nice environment.
Yeah, yeah, that empathy there is super important, and I love how you
Yeah, it is.
highlight that, like in an organizational sense, we're all in the same boat, right? We're all trying to
Hmm.
achieve the same task here, the same goal that we have as an organization or as a team, and how we get there, right? How we get there together, that way of working, it really needs to be defined, and it's going to be defined and refined until you have
Yeah.
a
and
well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and you need to adjust because, like, we as a team have a goal, right? But also, it can be that every person has their own goals. So then tell me, what's your goal and how can we achieve it also as a team? Like, how can we help you achieving that? So, yeah, we have a common goal. It's like, again, when I was starting testing, it was not that popular, especially in Poland. I'm from Poland,
Mm.
and I've got developers that were like very mad at me for reporting a bugs because they take it personally, like they were being offended, why are like pointing in errors in my work. And I had to explain them, we have a common goal, right? We want to deliver good quality software. So it's not like pointing fingers at you, it's a guidelines guideline. It's something that can help us with our common goal, and the same in every situation. What's our common goal? How can we go there? That's it. I see more questions.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Andre sketches his organization. He says there's no separate QA team in his organization, and each team has kind of its own QA person. And in
Okay.
organizations like that, would you say it's better to have like a QA lead or manager that would fall under like a person's responsibility in those teams?
Like if there is on like there's no common QA team,
Mm,
right? But there
yeah.
are QAs in different projects as different teams. Uh, Even in this situation, like QA lead is even more needed because then like those QAs in different teams, they have different sets of skills. Okay, they are working on their own work, but maybe they can help each other, and the QA lead will be here to coordinate, to work a bit of the soft things, like, okay, let's meet, let's adjust, but then this lead can coach, can facilitate situation when you exchanging the knowledge, right? Because maybe at the one project, when one QA is he's struggling, or she's struggling, right, with their work, and maybe the tester in another team has the solution, but they just focus on their own team. And so the QA leader actually will be here to facilitate that, to this sharing the knowledge, to knowing what's there, what is needed, coordinating the coachings, the trainings for all the testers. So it won't be like managing the tests, but managing the testers actually, and they work and leading them. And also the person, if that person will be with the like also broad knowledge, also can help support and be there from time to time. My role, because besides being test manager, I am also what is called right now QA chapter leader. So it's mostly the role as I described. So the people that are in my chapter are working in many different teams, many different projects, but we are meeting from time to time to exchange our issues, exchange our knowledge, to think how can we be better as a testers, not exactly testers in our project, but just better as a testers.
Yeah. We have a question from Anna. She wants us to circle back to the initial
I
question.
know, Anna.
We started off with the question, is test management really dead, right? But we've talked about
Hmm.
how it's evolving, how the responsibilities are slightly different than what it used to be. So
Hmm.
when an organization poses that question and says they don't really need test management, is it It's not really dead, is it? I think it's been evolving. Is
It's
it an
been
actual problem?
for the first idea I had, if it comes to this topic and the why test manager is that, it started with the job postings, because as I said, there was like I was looking for something to do, like be on their interview from time to time, and they there was not that many of a test manager positions. So I was asking, sometimes I was writing to people in other organization, they say no, test manager is not a role we are interested in. But then the pandemic unfortunately started, right? And after a few months, I saw increase of the test manager job offerings, because if people started to work from their homes, they were more splitted. uh, at least I think that organization noticed that there is someone needed who will be like gathering those testers together, gathering all the knowledge together, like facilitating the testers work, like not micromanaging as we said, but actually guiding them how can they proceed if they are sitting in their own home, having this not having their colleagues just beside them. And I was going through the historic data, trying to gather some statistics, and in the first half of a month of half a year of pandemic, like comparing the January and July in 2020, the job offerings for test managers were tripled.
Mm,
So
that's
if
huge.
people, yeah, that's huge. And I tried on a few hundreds of job offerings on three different sites. So I did this study because my husband is doing the PhD and knows about the stuff. So everything, if you know, want to say something, and it should be a fact made on, based on statistics and on a huge portion of statistics, not just like your observation. So I actually checked that, and yeah, it increased. So like 2 years ago, I thought that test manager, and I heard that test manager role is like no longer needed.
Mm,
That it is dead. That it's kind of like that was the topic to bring people here, and it worked because we have a lot of questions. But yeah, I think that was an issue, but we just needed to see that such person is needed, but they had to adjust.
yeah, yeah, I can imagine that. There's a scenario where you are the test manager, right? And your responsibility is to kind of be a leader for a
Hmm.
team in that way. But if someone really doesn't show any initiative, or even doesn't believe you as a test manager, how do you still inspire them and take them along with you?
I'm starting with saying sometimes you can't.
Mm,
Sometimes just there are people, and right now you may heard about the quiet quitting. So actually doing the least possible
yeah,
at your work. And I completely understand that there are people that want to come to work, or even not come to work but just log in to your work for this maybe 7 hours and just live and not think about it, because they just want money from that work to live, and that's all. And it's completely fine, you have different priorities in your life, right? So the most important thing is not to force anything. If there are people that they just want to do their work and nothing more, do not push them. But maybe try to interest them in something less. If they see that some other people, you support other people in like developing themselves, in putting some innovations, and see how happy others are. So leading by example, right? So you have to be the person who wants to have the initiative, right?
right.
But also you have to highlight other people that are going that direction. So the others that were not interested, some of them actually will be, but not all of them. There still will be some percentage of people that they want to just do their task and get over it, and do not push them, because if they are doing their task, doing it good, that's perfectly okay. Just live your life as you would. If you are working as expected and fulfilling all your tasks, that's also okay. I will not push or force anyone to something more, to be just enthusiastic and going to the all the innovations, because it's not work. Because if you start to push such person, the outcome will be actually the uh, completely opposite. So they even start to do even less, because they will feel like threatened that I have to do something additional. I don't want that, so I will like close only within myself and do not do anything. So they will be percentage, but if you highlight how other people worked and how they develop an influence there, they're happy they are, maybe they get a rise or anything like this, you may interest others, right?
Yeah, you have to keep going, accept
Yeah,
what you cannot win over sometimes, and inspire others. And sometimes those will move the people that you couldn't inspire initially. I really like
yeah,
that. Yeah. When it comes to QA can sometimes be like a real team responsibility, right? Not just within a QA engineer
yeah,
within
it
that
should
team.
be.
It should be a team responsibility. I
Mhm.
fully agree. But when there's still a QA engineer in that team, what are then like the roles and responsibilities there? Is it still to uphold a certain amount, or what's the main difference when it's not a team responsibility yet?
Uh, I like to think that soon people realize that this is whole team responsibility.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw companies having this nice approach. I don't remember the name of the company, but not that important. That actually QAs were not testing; they
Mm.
were like advocates or coaches of testing. So they were making sure that quality is there, doing the guidelines, setting the process, how it should be for deliver the good quality. But the task themselves were for everyone else but the testers. Like, but they were shouldn't be called testers. They should be called QAs, because they were really QAs, just
Yeah.
guiding others how to do, how to provide this quality. And also usually if you want to change something or convince someone, you have to have facts, right? So there is a lot of white papers and other stuff when you can show that if it's a team responsibility and everyone is taking care of quality, then the quality is actually better, right? So you can show them that, try. And always you can start with the small things. Okay,
Mm.
I'm and and on the examples, I'm the QA here, and you say quality is only on me. Okay, but then I have to actually report very trivial stuff that
Yeah.
shouldn't be there. If I want to focus on quality and deliver the high quality, I should be focusing on the important stuff, not that you put, I don't know, wrong label to some kind of field, right?
Yeah.
So okay, if you want me to be the main person, the quality, just think about the quality yourself, at least a bit, to so for me to focus on the important stuff, not the labels or like colors in the application, right?
Exactly. Everyone should have a base level of quality, so then the
Yeah.
QA engineer can focus on those high impact
And
tasks as
always
well.
the good approach, the thing I love, uh maybe not love, but yeah, like definition of done.
Mm.
That's something that people like, why do I need it, right? But the definition of done can be different. It's actually checklist, what do we think is quality, right? So if you want to deliver a feature, okay, so let's put a definition of done regarding quality. What do we mean that this feature is a um, good quality or good enough to be introduced to our stakeholders, shown on the demo or something, right? Like that.
Yeah.
And we agree on something, and then I can say, okay, we have this list. This means this feature is good quality, but I'm responsible only for this part. This is on you, right? So you have
Mm.
to also support me in providing this quality.
Yeah. Yeah. It defines what we talked about initially in that way of working
Yeah.
within that team. Then, yeah, absolutely. When I have the position of a tester, right, and I'm looking at the next step within my career, what are the options on the table? Is it test management, more automation, more QA related stuff? What are the options there?
Uh, it's changing,
Mm.
fortunately. Because again, like a few years back, even in the companies I worked, there were like two paths.
Okay.
You are becoming a automation tester, and
Yeah.
then you are becoming developer, because that's obviously was the next step, or you are becoming a manager, first the QA manager, then some higher manager. And um, I was asking them, it's really, and all I can do, it's like, and not any, I don't want that. When I was perceiving test management as like uh, really the manager, the micromanaging stuff, because this is how my test managers were. I don't like that. I don't want to be test manager, and also I don't like to be developer. Right? I can code. I can write some scripts if I need it, but writing code for 8 hours, for me personally, if someone likes it, is okay. But for me, it's boring. Couldn't imagine myself, and so there are only options. So what should I do? But now, uh, as it is visible that we need to adjust our skills and our responsibility to the situation that is around us, there is more possibilities. So actually we see more test analysts. Like it is still called like manual tester,
Okay.
but as I tend to say, manual or automatic is a gearbox, not a tester.
Yeah.
uh, so it's not manual working on a paper. I'm using a lot of different tools. I'm just not automating, right? So it's more a test analyst. So a person focused on the requirements, managing them, understanding the client, understanding the business, right? Writing the best test cases. If you're just a developer, the chances are you cannot write a good automated test case. You need the testing knowledge for that. And here is the test analyst, so person who knows how to test, who knows what's the basics of testing and how to do that. So it can be test analyst. There's also a lot of specifications right now, the technique one, right? The security, the performance, the different ways. You can be also in one of the areas like gaming, right? Be very good at the as a gaming tester, which is boring again.
Mm.
Like if you like playing games, do not become a tester in games, because then you will start to hate playing games. uh, really. um, but yeah, there is a lot of options, and as I said, as we have to adjust sometimes, this is why sometimes there is no differentiation between the roles. We are just software developer, you are developing the software, not meaning programmer but
Yeah.
developer. So you are taking your part in developing a software. It can be more on a testing side, more on an analytical side, more on the programming side, right? But you are developing the software, test related, like quality related, focusing mostly on the quality, right? So the um, I would say sky is the limit, but not. You can test at NASA, so sky is not the limit. And I was applying at actually the European Space Agency to be at quality assurance there. Didn't get it. Maybe someday,
Maybe
but
next time. Yeah.
maybe next time. But still, sky is not the limit. Just and if you go somewhere when they needed just tester, but see the situation that's there and adjust and propose new solutions, right? New approaches. This way you can like create a job for yourself, like the responsibility set of responsibilities and the role for yourself that will be unique because it will be adjusted to the situation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. We have one final question left, and we have about a minute of time left as well. Do you think
Oh.
manual testers should develop their skills to automate as well?
At least a bit.
Okay. Short but sweet.
Because short by sweet. To say something a bit more,
Yeah.
I'm not saying they have to write the automatic testing, but reading a code is something that I think almost everyone should do. Like at least understand what's there, because that's helpful. And knowing some scripting language like Python, which I love, is it's not that hard, and it can be useful and it can help in your work. It's not mandatory, but I would advise to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It can go a long way learning that skill.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really loved this conversation, Arnika, starting with test management and how it's evolved in the current space as well. How soft skills have become way more prevalent than they used to be, and what really the options are now that they've evolved. Is there anything left that you'd still like to share?
Maybe small one. Also, I'm glad you like it. Me also. I don't know where it was the 45 minutes. It's
It
pretty
flies
short.
by.
Yeah, in good company, of course. I see there is a lot of questions, right? So if anything more, I'm at a lot of conferences. You can catch me there. If you want to discuss more, but also I'm on LinkedIn. So if you want to continue with this conversation and have any questions, I'm here. Um, Meaning on the LinkedIn over the internet, you can just find me and we can continue. And I hope it's a third year I try to be uh, in Vilnius at this conference personally. uh, I hope finally I will be able so we can talk in person with all you guys that are watching us, so we can talk more about that. Till
Yeah,
then, have a
awesome.
nice one.
For sure. We're going to round it off here. We're going to have a small lunch break of an hour, and we're going to continue with the leadership track then. See you in a bit.
See ya.